We live in a day and age of like unprecedented depression, mental illness, sorrow. If you're watching this in the future right now, like today, we are in the depths of the virus, of the pandemic. There's been a lot of racial tension and a lot of injustice. And there's just a lot of turmoil in America. Now, you may be on the other side of the world and this may be 5 years out from now, but I think we all know that feeling of being so incredibly broken and feeling so incredibly helpless that we like genuinely feel like, God, clearly you don't see me. Clearly you don't care about me. Clearly you are not in the picture here, God. If so, Psalm 13 might be the perfect verse for you. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to How to Faith a Life. Today we're looking at Psalm 13. Y'all guys really loved my past videos on how I study the Bible and Bible journaling with me, and so I just figured let's do it again. This psalm I read yesterday. I'm reading through the Bible in a year, and I read it yesterday and I was so encouraged by it, and I really just kind of wanted to go crazy on it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save this to do this with my buddies. We're gonna Bible journal together, so let's dive in. All right. My cute little tassels. If you guys missed my last video, I will have it linked like right here. Okay, Psalm 13. Psalm 13 is a lament psalm. I'm gonna go ahead and write that. So you might be like, what does that mean? I want you to think like Lamentations. This is expressing extreme sorrow and grief to the Lord, crying out to the Lord, whether it's mourning or suffering, basically just expressing extreme sorrow and grief to the Lord. Interestingly enough though, the scholars who study this psalm have no idea what David was going through. I mean, we can guesstimate, but there's no sure explanation for exactly what David was going through. Just apply it to our own lives, I guess. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? This is kind of like what I was mentioning earlier. How long, O Lord, will you forget me? Have you ever felt forgotten by the Lord? Maybe left behind? How long will you hide your face from me? I love that imagery, hide your face from me. I can really relate to this verse because one of the most important things for me whenever I'm having a hard conversation with somebody is eye contact. I want them to look into my eyes, connect with me emotionally in that way, and I can totally relate to David crying out to the Lord, are you hiding your face from me? How long are you gonna do this? I need to look into your eyes and remember your love for me, God. I need to make that eye contact with me. I do not want to admit to you how many times I've said to my children, look in my eyes, or even to my spouse, look at me in the eye. It's just such an important emotional aspect to relationships. But let's keep going. How long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all the day? I hate those days when it's literally just all day long. You're just weary and worn out. How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? This is like a very human question. I think we all sometimes feel this, but hate verbalizing it to other people. And I love how David was real enough to verbalize this with the Lord, you know? Now, you guys have probably picked up on this already, but notice the repetition. How long, O Lord? How long? How long? How long? I remember you guys have seen those videos when we were waiting on the Lord to provide my husband a new job, and we weren't sure where we were going to move and what church he'd be at and all that kind of stuff. And just that, how long, oh Lord? How long is it going to be unknown? How long before you provide, not knowing and having to be at peace with that? But let's keep moving. Consider and answer me, oh my God. So now like almost, that's interesting. Like the whole attitude has changed. I'm going to choose different pencils. Consider me. That's almost like a plea. Lighten up my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Wow. Lest my enemies say I have prevailed over him. Lest my foes rejoice because I am shaken. And then we see the attitude changes once again. But I have trusted in your steadfast love. So I'm going to get a new pencil. So now the attitude has changed again. But I have trusted in your steadfast love. But I have trusted in your steadfast love. My heart shall rejoice. It's almost like a choice in your salvation. Isn't this interesting? Like way before Jesus. And he's like, you were going to save me. I will sing to the Lord. Wow. Here's another choice. Because he has dealt bountiful with me. Wow. That's beautiful. Bountiful. Okay. So now let's turn back over. You guys know I love to read through the section first and just have like first reactions. And then I will go back through and kind of catch themes. So it's interesting. I see 4 repetitions here. He repeats, "How long, O Lord?" And then he repeats questions. "Will you forget me? Will you hide your face? Will my heart sorrow all the day? Will my enemy be exalted over me?" Period of questions, maybe. That's interesting that God includes that. Like he legitimizes that, like we are gonna have questions sometimes. So then this, it's interesting here because he's like, "Yo, God, please consider me and answer me. Hear me out," which is interesting because if you really truly believed that God wasn't listening, you wouldn't talk to him about it, right? This makes me wonder how many times we in our own faith walks do the same exact thing. We're like, "God, please hear me out." And these little like seeds of faith are planted, or like we start walking through faith through praying through hard things. I talked about this in my last video of like sometimes in order to take those first steps of faith, we have to just talk to God about it. We have to kind of express to God our anxiety around stuff or our hesitancy around stuff. And that actually leads us to taking those first steps in faith towards obedience. So I love that that's kind of exemplified here. So David's like, "Consider and answer me, light up my eyes." It's almost like he just needs to know that God knows that he's suffering. And then obviously we know David in his life was often struggling with his enemies after his life. And we see that lived out here. You know, being specific, "God, I really, really, please do not let them prevail over me. God, please do not let them rejoice because I'm shaken. Let me be steadfast. Let me be sturdy on you, oh God." And then verses 5 and 6 end with like, choices, end with like an assurance. And you might be like, is he like manic? Is he crazy? He was just talking about, he's worried for his life. He was just saying that he is in the depths. And now all of a sudden he's saying that he's going to trust in God. And now all of a sudden he's saying that he's going to rejoice and that he's going to sing in joy. So all of a sudden there's like this illogical joy. It almost reminds me of that peace that passes all understanding. Now I love this, and I'm going to use this little sticker for my sticker club. I love this idea that it's a choice. That when we are being faithful to pursue God and his promises and his provision for us, that we can then choose God above all else and receive the blessings of this illogical joy of this life. And we end up singing, we end up worshiping God, and we end up with our eyes on like the cross. And so even though this is an Old Testament text, again, we see Jesus in this text. Y'all know I'm big about that. I will link up my video up here all about covenantal theology. But isn't it amazing that nothing changed in his life circumstances from the first couple verses? The only thing that changed is that he trusted in God's steadfast love. It's not our trust in ourselves. It's not our trust in our ability to change our minds. Our trust in God brings fruit, life, joy, and worship. I'll probably take this as a flab because I want to remind myself of that. But I also want to remind myself, y'all know I love to do inductive Bible studies, and so we observed, we interpreted, and now we're going to apply it. Even though David's situation didn't change, his joy did, because he set his joy not on himself and his ability to like save himself, but on God and what God has done. If you guys want to see more of me Bible journaling and how I study my Bible, check out this video or this video, and I will see you guys in these videos. So click them and make sure you're subscribed, but click them, do it.